Hello everybody, it is I, TellyZX, and this is the official AXC Challenge series finisher. Now I thought I'd never have to do this again, but here we are again, coincidentally almost 3 years later since ending Stranded. It's been rough. It has been rough. But for all of you who don't really know what's been going down, let me put it in a brief explanation before I get to the actual conclusion. Basically, a few months ago, after trying to work on Season 5 a couple times, I got very miserable. A lot of things were the cause of that. I kept rewriting things, and it got boring after a while. Topping it off, I received criticism through a couple of close friends, and I wasn't able to take it the way someone should. I didn't take criticism quite well, and when they didn't like it, I felt like no one liked it. But I knew you guys liked it, the viewers, and all the comments and stuff. Yeah, it was a mixed bag, but needless to say, the show got abruptly cancelled. Revived, briefly, and then cancelled again. And then a whole string of bad news just kept coming up and down. So, to make things clear, this is bringing closure to another chapter of my YouTube video making, so I can move on to bigger and better things. Which, by the way, I'd like to get back to, so we're going to get this over with. Now, what you're going to get in this finisher are 3 things. 1, you're going to get an explanation about the characters and their respective plots for the 5th season that would have happened. 2, you're going to get all their eliminations. And 3, you're going to get a peek into what would have happened in the next 2 seasons, because I was supposed to have 7 seasons. With that being said, grab some water, grab some food, whatever you gotta do before you start watching this, because it's gonna take a minute. And let's get started. Okay, so this is your lovely cast of characters. Each and every one of them has a plot, and whether it's big or small is a different story. But we're gonna get into all of them, and just so I don't have to discuss it while I'm getting through the eliminations. It's better for all of us if I'm able to do that. Okay, so why don't we start with Electivire. Electivire, during the year off, was supposedly broke up with Espeon, and due to long distance and the fact that he didn't talk to her about his bisexuality. As a result, he started realizing how much of a bad person he was and began to turn over a new leaf, and has become a better person since. Chandel and Drapion, well, there's really nothing much. Ever since Season 4 ended, Chandel has used the money to jumpstart her music career, and Drapion's been in law school. The only tidbit you need to know about Finalist is that he's a big fan of Rapidash. Grovyle, during the 6 months off since Season 4, finally decided to be himself, which was a popular jock. He was also much of a jerk and a womanizer, so not only did he work out and get his muscular physique back, but he also came back with a vengeance, and has plans to mess with everyone. He was my intended antagonist for the season. There's no real reason for Tropius to come back. She just comes right back with Nidoking because they want another shot at the money. Delcatty's reason for coming back is because she wants to try playing the game without quitting. Starmie would like to come back and play the game without dealing with anything romantic. So let's just bunch Nidoking and Tropius together, considering they both had a reason just to come back to play the game. Manectric came back to learn to trust people, because after Season 3's fiasco, he'd like to get back to things being normal. Noivern came back, as you clearly noticed at the end of Season 4, because his sanity was waning, and he'd like to get back at Rapidash and Manectric. That is literally what he's doing. Milotic comes back to stop Noivern, and hopefully get back with him. They broke up in between. Metagross is coming back simply because, well, he couldn't say no. He's a big fan of the show. Espeon's coming back to just play the game and have some fun, but she didn't expect her ex to be there. Beautifly's coming back to fix her rep from Season 3, along with Ninjask, who's trying to fix his rep. Feraligator's coming back because she wants to have some fun. Drifloon's coming back because Absol wouldn't. Crocodile's coming back just so he can fight Starmie and win the money this time. Luxio's coming back pretty much the same, is coming back to win the money. And Rapidash is coming back just so she can start and have a whole season under her belt. Okay, I've explained all the major points that you need to know. Now it's time for the actual episodes. Prepare yourselves. Just so we're clear, I can't really say spoilers because, well, there's no such thing. So with that being said, why don't we get to the episodes themselves? But before we do, surprise, we have to get to the teams. So, first things first, we have Team Emerald. We have Electivire as the captain, with Nidoking, Delcatty, Feraligatr, Beautifly, Metagross, and Manectric. Then we have Team Platinum, with Rapidash as the captain, with Finalist, Tropius, Milotic, Luxio, Krookodile, and Starmie as the team. And finally we have Team Black, with Drifloon as the captain, and consists of Drapion, Espeon, Chandel, Grovyle, Noivern, and Ninjask. Okay, now that you know the teams, we can now actually get to the episodes. So we'll start with episode 1, Can You Handle the All-Star Showdown, Part 1. In this episode, there is no elimination. The All-Stars are dropped out of the blimp in a surprising way, because, Infernape, and their goal was to find one of the 3 camps. As I explained in a few times, this season was supposed to be, had more elements of Survivor. No cabins, they had to fend for themselves, find food and stuff, so they had to find their respective camps. And the first 3 people to find the 3 camps would be deemed the captains, and obviously Electivire, Rapidash, and Drifloon found them and became the captains of the season, becoming Team Emerald, Team Platinum, and Team Black's captains respectively. After that, they are given their very first challenge, or second challenge. In episode 2, they have to build statues of their mascots, so Emerald, Rayquaza, Platinum, Giratina, and Black, Reshiram. And during the challenge, Krookodile tried to spite Starmie, and this didn't end well. They ended up in a bomb fight, and by the time Team Platinum was getting ready to finish their statue, one of the bombs flew at the statue and blew it up, and they ended up placing 3rd because they had nothing to show. In the end, Team Platinum lost and placed 3rd, and they went to the first All-Star Awards ceremony, and Krookodile was voted out over Starmie at a close vote. Episode 3, Food, Fighting, and a Shot at the Money. In this episode, the All-Stars had to go around the island with Pokeball shooters filled with food and shoot each other until one team was left standing. The team that was taken out first would place 3rd and go to elimination, and so on and so forth, 2nd place and 1st place. In this episode, this is where Grovyle began his reign of terror. Keep in mind, the cast would be in their human sprites for the duration of the season, and that's why I utilized a lot of plot points. So keep that in mind. In this episode, at the last minute, Metagross was about to win and prepared to shoot Grovyle, but Grovyle took off his shirt, showcased his abs, and Metagross got obsessed and distracted, giving Grovyle the opportunity to shoot him, making Team Emerald place 3rd because he was the last person standing. As a result, Metagross got eliminated unanimously. He even voted for himself because he felt bad that he became really obsessed over muscular bodies, knowing that he had a boyfriend. But at the very least, he had fun being around his favorite cast members, so there was really no harm, no foul. And that was Grovyle's first move as an antagonist. In episode 4, Hatching into a Dangerous Game, the challenge had the All-Stars going on a scavenger hunt for an egg, and it was secluded in a dangerous place. Similar to the Cell Phone Advanced Ministry challenge from the first season, they had to gain riddles from every place they go to after figuring out where they had to go and get to that dangerous place. Once they got to the place, they had to save the egg and then get their way back to camp. In this episode, Noivern had plans to sabotage Rapidash, sabotage Rapidash, and Milotic is on the same team as Rapidash. Milotic tried her best to stop Noivern, but it ended up screwing her over because the whole team had to be back, and it slowed Team Platinum down in the process when Milotic got hurt twice. This ended up making Team Platinum lose, and she was pissed at Noivern. As a result, Milotic was voted out because not only was she trying to protect Noivern, but she was also affiliated with Luxio, who was trying to take over Team Platinum over Rapidash because Luxio wanted to be captain. And this, as a result, gave Rapidash the idea to separate Luxio and Milotic because that was the only person who would think considered working with Luxio, leaving her alone. So Milotic got eliminated, threw a hissy fit at Noivern, and Now, this is where Neuven starts to come back to his sanity. Well, one can only hope. Episode 5, Conquering Your Fear for the Win. In this episode, similar to a challenge from TPI's World Tour, good challenge by the way, and an especially good season and a show, the All-Stars had to go into a mansion, and each All-Star had to go into a separate room and deal with their respective nightmares. And with those nightmares, they had to embrace them. Should they conquer their nightmare, they get a point for their team. The team with more fear conquerors would win first place, and the team with the least would head to the next elimination. Manectric and Feraligatr hold Team Emerald behind, so they're the ones who lose. But because Electivire and Manectric grow closer to each other, Electivire saves him. By the way, at this point, Electivire had already come out of the closet as a bisexual. Well, he was already publicly open. He just decided to tell the cast so that there's no blackmail incident again. And he starts to trust Manectric, and Manectric realizes his crush for him. Manetric's fear, coincidentally, is fear of loving Electivire, and the two end up becoming a couple at the end of this episode. So because Electivire decides to protect Manectric, Feraligatr gets eliminated. Oh, and I should probably bring this into context. In episode 4, Grovyle takes things to the controversial method and decides to hypnotize Drapion. This leads to Drapion acting very cocky and starts a little arc that tears him and Chandel apart, much to Grovyle's excitement, and turns Drapion into his personal slave. In the end, Feraligatr gets eliminated, and I will not explain her fear, but yes, she gets eliminated. In episode 6, this is where the challenge had the All-Stars on their respective teams singing one of my favorite songs. Not my all-time favorite songs, just one of my favorites. This was also the episode in which my that avatar you see on my channel all the time, the one, that over-exaggerated version of me, yeah, that guy, he was supposed to make a hilarious appearance and break the fourth wall a few times in this episode. He was going to be the judge. And yeah, the 3 songs were as followed. Team Emerald was going to sing Love Me Harder by Ariana Grande, Team Platinum was going to sing Cool Kids by Echo Smith, and Team Black was going to sing Wake Me Up When September Ends by Green Day. I'd look up all 3 of those songs, they are all pretty good. Anyway, during this episode, we learned that what's in this episode? Oh wait, I wrote it. Never mind. So, in this episode, basically Rapidash and Luxio's rivalry comes to a boil. There we go. Comes to a boil. At this point in time, Rapidash and Grovyle, who know each other from the past, have already engaged in a little smoochy smooch. See, Rapidash is the reason Grovyle became a goth, because she's the woman that broke his heart. Grovyle wanted to get revenge and screwed her over by pretending that he still liked her, and this led to a fallout when he kissed Luxio, who fell for the bait, and this led to the two getting on each other's nerves even more. And that's what led to the rivalry going crazy. Now, hold on a second. I'm actually looking at papers while I'm doing this. Note that I'm just doing this off the script, so my apologies. Okay, so in episode 6, I believe the reason that all of this is happening... Okay, so in this episode, Neuven finds out about Grovyle's playing around with Drapion and hypnotizing him, and he ends up getting himself screwed over and hypnotized as well, and he ends up screwing himself over. But before anything can happen, Luxio and Rapidash are the cause of their own team's loss, because they kept getting on each other's nerves. This led to Luxio evolving, but she ended up getting eliminated anyway because, well, no one liked her in the first place. So yeah, her sorry ass got eliminated. Sad but true. In episode 7, Neuven, in a hypnotic state, ends up screwing his own team over during the challenge. The challenge in question had the All-Stars doing something similar to the Atlantic Ocean Challenge in Season 3. Drapion also snaps out of Grovyle's control and ends up brawling with him. This leads to Grovyle evolving into Sceptile. As a result, Sceptile ends up winning, screwing over Drapion yet again, and also screws Neuven over by getting him eliminated, having him snap out of it right at the time when Team Black lost, because he already sabotaged the team in the first place. Alright. Stick Figure Island's strongest Pokemon. In this episode, this is episode 8. In this episode, Drapion is saved by both Espeon, Chandel, and Ninjask, but at the last minute, it's a fail because Drapion ends up getting eliminated anyway, snapping out of it immediately, etc., etc. But the good news is there will be no more hypnosis as of this episode. Anyway, the challenge had the male All-Stars showing off their muscles and strength. Part 1 was a walk down the runway, and Part 2 was a strength competition. 2 guys per team. Finalist, at this point, had already gone through his personal hell due to the fear challenge back in episode 5, and had decided to turn over a new leaf. This led to him working out, gaining a lot more muscle, and evolving into a Vanillux prior to the episode. So yeah, all the characters who were able to evolve had evolved at this point. And in the end, Drapion got eliminated, sad but true. In episode 9, Scattering and Unscrambling Under Pressure, they had to put together an unscrambled word with all the letters they had after going underwater. The phrase would have been Amigos de por vida. In the end, Chandel got eliminated because of Grovyle or Skeptile at the last minute, and because people thought of her as a threat anyway. But it was also because Skeptile had a hidden immunity. He did the same thing to Drapion as well. And the last episode before the merge, Adrenalocalypse Now. Absol comes into this episode and has the competitors compete in a 3-day sports marathon. By day they'd play sports, and by night they'd have to stay awake. At this point, Starmie and Delcatty are friends, but their romantic tension prevents them from trying to stick together as friends. So Starmie decides to help Delcatty whenever he can by playing the I want to help you win the game by screwing around my own team. Vanillux finds out about this and screws Team Platinum over. This leads to Starmie getting eliminated, and Delcatty gets eliminated on her team as well, because there's a double elimination in the episode. But at the very least, Delcatty's happy that she didn't quit, so all is well. And now, we have our final 11, aka the merge team being Team Alpha Sapphire. Okay, so here's a few plot points you need to know at this point. By this point, Grovyle, or Skeptile, and Espeon had already had romantic tension and got together because they're similar fears, and they have off and off tension because one's evil and one's good, and Espeon doesn't want to be associated with bad. Manectric and Electivire are a thing, Vanillux and Rapidash get together, Ninjask and Beautifly are still a thing, and they try to start their own alliance, while Drifblim and Espeon are good friends and work together. Skeptile is still trying to get out Rapidash and Vanillux, and tries to target Manectric and Electivire through flirting, since he can basically play guys and girls with his body. Yeah, he's that good looking. That's what I did. Okay, let's move on. So we start with the first merged episode. Don't mention it in the merge. Skeptile finally gets his wish and deems Rapidash unworthy. Well, most of the cast deems her unworthy because they don't want to see her do the same thing she did in Season 3, so they axe her early. The challenge had the Camp All-Stars going into the Haunted Mansion from Episode 5, but this time they had to avoid Mega Gengar's various attempts at capturing them. Anyone who made it to the other end of the mansion would win immunity from the first merged elimination. Rapidash didn't, thanks to Skeptile, and she got eliminated because she was the biggest threat that didn't get immunity. And they didn't want to see her do what she did again, back in Season 3. A series of espionage going down, Episode 12. In this episode, the All-Stars went to Dead Man's Island, and their goal was to outsmart each other while in pursuit for a rare gem. The gem, however, was protected by island natives, and the first finalist who snagged the gem and brought it back to Stick Figure Island would win immunity from elimination. This is the episode in which Skeptile would screw over Electivire and Manectric. He tried flirting with Manectric and got him to be very gullible. As a result, Manectric ended up screwing himself over, and realized that Electivire was right to not trust Skeptile. As a result, Manectric got himself eliminated because he was the biggest target at elimination in the first place. Electivire had a tough call to make to vote out someone, because since Skeptile won immunity, he had to make a tough call between his two friends, Nidoking and Manectric. By the way, Nidoking and Electivire had become friends long before this. And in the end, he knew how strong Manectric was, and didn't want Skeptile to mess with him, so whether he liked it or not, Manectric got a lot of votes anyway. So, sad but true. Episode 13, Raging on the Road to Victory. Long story short, it was a Mario Kart race. And the finalist with the most points out of 40 would win immunity, while the finalist with the three worst scores would be at risk at elimination. Beautifly had one of the worst scores, and people deemed her unworthy. It was a tie between her and Ninjask, and after a revote, her sorry ass got eliminated, but at the very least she fixed her rep. Episode 14, the Untitled Fanservice Challenge. In this episode, the final 8 were paired up, and they had to share a romantic scene in their human sprites, while in their swimsuits, and they had to impress Xorus. And the pair with the best score would receive immunity. Nidoking's group got the worst score. I will not explain who he's paired up with. And in the end, he got eliminated. Sad but true, because Skeptile decided to gang up on him and get rid of all of Electivar's allies. Little did he know that Skeptile's own girlfriend was also Electivar's ally. So Espeon is now caught between a rock and a hard place. Episode 15, The Hungry Games, Gagging Reflex. 5 points if you get the reference, even though it's obvious. In this episode, basically the All-Stars had to compete in an endless eating tournament, and without calling it quits. The last finalist standing would win immunity from elimination. Drifblim was considerably one of the biggest targets at this time, and was deemed unworthy to move forward by the rest of the cast. Mostly because the obvious person won immunity, and the obvious person being Skeptile. Yeah, if you remember in Season 4, Skeptile won a lot of immunities. He's good at what he does. Okay. Survival of the finalists. In this episode, the final six now, had to go camping in the woods for one night, and the goal was to be the first one back to camp, or the first two back to camp in order to win immunity. Skeptile and Espeon end up being those two, and everyone decides to deem Ninjask unworthy because he's the weakest link of the six, and they get rid of him immediately, unanimously, if nothing else. Ninjask, he believed in himself, but the only ally he had was Espeon. So yeah, in the end, Ninjask gets eliminated. Poor guy. The All-Star Pre-Jury Smackdown, Episode 17. In the final 5 episode, the pre-jury gets to vote someone out, and in the end they deemed Tropius unworthy. It was caught between Tropius and Electivire. In a close call, Tropius got eliminated because they did not want to see Tropius in another finale at the risk of her possibly winning this time around. And they had every reason to, the girls were strong. So yes, poor Tropius got eliminated at the final 5, but it didn't matter because she played a good game anyway, and she had fun. Episode 18, a semi-final showdown for the ages. So in this episode, the final 4 were facing off in a Pokemon battle tournament, with the last one standing winning immunity. Skeptile ends up winning just that, and he has to make it, and Espeon is promised by him to be safe. But instead, Skeptile turns on her and decides to get her eliminated, knowing that she could easily beat him in the finale. He wants to go up against stronger competition and decides to keep the other two. Which leads to our finale. Part 1 at least. Part 1, a triple threat all-star blitzkrieg. Part 1. So the second runner-up is Vanillux. Vanillux gets eliminated by the jury after not winning immunity. Yes, that jury. So the jury deems him unworthy because despite how nice he was, the damage was still done. So yeah, and Vanillux leaves a changed person anyway, and is happy that he changed his ways and had become a much better person, and had people who actually liked him anyway. So yeah, and he wishes Electivire good luck. And now we go to part 2, aka the season finale. And surprise, surprise, a triple threat all-star blitzkrieg part 2. In the end, during the challenge, Electivire ends up beating Skeptile at the last minute as they climb up to the top of Mount Stickfigure with their respective flags. And they were able to sabotage one another in any way whatsoever. Skeptile does all the things in the book, while Electivire manages to get Skeptile done and over with easily. This leads to Electivire being crowned the winner, and he ends up moving to Hoenn with Manectric to live with them. He ends up being friends with Espeon as well. Skeptile realizes the error of his ways and decides to become a much more humble person than he was originally supposed to be prior to learning lessons in Season 4. And that's pretty much Season 5, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening, but we're not done yet. Now we're going to go to the 2 seasons that could have happened. Underdog University. This season was supposed to happen at Season 6. Basically, 21 underdogs, aka background characters or underdogs who I consider underdogs, and they would go to a specially designed college that was dangerous for all intents and purposes, and they were going after another $150 million. I did not have a determined winner for it, but that would have been the basis of the season. And finally, my final season would have been the NDX Challenge Galaxy Quest. 34 contestants, 17 pairs, and one trip across the galaxy for $250 million. Here's how it would have worked. I would have done a similar gameplay as to what the Redonkulous race is going to do at some given point. I don't know when the show is going to premiere, but I'm looking forward to it. But similar to what Redonkulous race is going to do, this season was going to do pretty much the same thing, except I wasn't going to go around the world, because I technically already had done something like that, and I was going to go around the galaxy, because no one's done it yet. But, needless to say, this would have been an interesting season, and no, I didn't figure out who I wanted to win in this one either. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching the show. As you guys know, AXC is officially 3 years old at this point. Thanks guys for watching the show, I really appreciate it. I am deeply sorry that the show ended the way it did. I would have loved continuing doing it, but there were among a lot of the things that were against me were a couple of things. I wanted the show to continue, but at the same time, I had a feeling my time was almost up. And even then, for every time I kept asking close friends about it, I didn't get the opinions I desired, and it led to me feeling bad because it's like, I wanted to please them so much. But then I remembered you guys are the ones that I really cared about the most when it came to this show, because you guys loved the hell out of it. And I appreciate all the love you gave the show. Keep giving it love, because there are 4 seasons chock full of awesome that you can go back to and watch. And at the very least, I'm giving this show some type of ending. This, my friends, is how you do a finisher video. I will get to that in my future cliche note. But this, my friends, is how you do a proper finisher video. You explain everything that you want to explain, and get down to the part that is the most important. So thank you guys, thank you ever so much. Look forward to much more awesome videos in the future, especially a lot more Emerald Chronicles, and a few more other surprises down the road. This is where NDX Challenge's road comes to an end, but it still gets to live on and stay on this channel. So, I ask you this. Go back to AXC's playlist, seasons 1 through 4, and just watch the episodes all over again. There are 107 episodes you could be watching. Now, to start a little fun conversation in the comment section. What are your favorite moments in AXC? Comment below and I might actually respond. Until then, I'll see you guys later. And happy birthday, NDX Challenge. Thanks for basically reviving my reason to get back into reality show making. It's been fun, but I think this is the last reality show I'm going to do for an extra long time. Will there be one I ever do again? I highly doubt it. But, yeah, I'm not even going to try to keep an open mind. I highly doubt it. Okay, see you guys later.